Breathe in. Welcome to What the Fuchs with Jess Fuchs. Now breathe out. And scream. Because here's what's pissed Jess off this week. Tell you what, that air conditioning is doing a death rattle. I am 10 degrees warmer than I should be. I've either got the plague and that's setting in, or I'm about to hit my period, which I do know that. And apparently you can be like a couple degrees hotter when you are in your period. I don't know if the things that I listen to in a podcast sink in the right way. I think a lot of the wires, I'll listen to like a podcast about relationships and then a podcast about like periods, and somehow the stats and the numbers, the wires are crossed. I also have a white iron shirt, which, hey, as soon as I've ironed it, it looks like you've taken a ball of foil, scrunched it, and then put it on a hanger. I don't understand why they don't make shirts that don't crinkle cut. I'm sure they do, but why isn't that the rule? Why isn't that just a mandatory? If you are making a white shirt, why would you ever need to make a white shirt that crinkles? Why would you ever need to make a piece of clothing that needs ironing? What is the function for that? I mean, we are trying to live on Mars, and yet I can't iron a shirt and go out in it. It's hanging just over there. I'm wearing a shirt which somehow is discolored. If you look closely, it's almost like the ink printer has run out halfway through. I didn't buy it that way. I don't know why, but for some reason when I've washed it, half of the ink came off and the other half has stayed in the shirt. Also, there are ants everywhere in my house, and my parents cannot find the source. They bought this stuff, and you put it on the wall where the ants are coming from or running around, and then they all scurry and eat it, and then they take it back to the hole that they're from, and then they all die. So there is a mass death happening somewhere in the walls of this house, and thousands of ants are essentially delivering the cyanide to the little baby ants. It is suicide in the walls of this house. I've also been watching the show Ghost, and that's all about how ghosts are. It's like a comedy, a UK originally show, and it's like this couple move into a house and then there's ghosts and she can see them. I hope that didn't spoil it, but also I feel like you'd get that from the trailer. I mean, trailers also these days, they tell you everything. But now I'm like, do I believe in ghosts? And it would be kind of cool to imagine someone just sitting here every week. They can't talk to me, but every week they get more information, or they get to imagine me hosting and they're kind of riffing. Imagine me and some dead guy next to me are the hottest comedy duo that's ever been, but could never be. Now that's a premise for a show, which essentially just steals from the concept of Ghost, the TV show. So, I mean, this week hasn't been as hot or cold as I thought, but I do want to say I am just deeply craving winter. I have been feeling miserable, and you know how some people get SAD, seasonal affective disorder, and typically it's associated with winter. Typically, as the dreary months wear on, as the months continue to be cold, many people get depressed because there's not enough sunlight or it's not warm enough. Honey, I am the opposite. As the temperature cranks up, if it doesn't crank down soon enough, I start to get depressed. If I spelt that right, god damn, my brain is working better than I thought. The thing that I love about winter, and I know some of you are naysayers because I put a poll on Instagram and many people said they hate winter, which is criminal, and I hate that you follow me if you like winter. Please feel free at your own pace, unfollow. And the pace is probably slow because you're probably so hot and so sticky and so sweaty you can't touch anything. When it's hot outside, if I pick my phone up, it slips right through my fingers. I don't want to feel that way. I want to have a firm grip on everything. There is nothing more rigid than a frozen set of muscles clasping onto something. But I just miss winter. I love that you can add layers and layers. Obviously, some of you are like, my BMI is dangerously low, or rather dangerously close to what medical professionals say is healthy. And for those of you who are skating around average and circling the drain at just what you should be, I want to say congratulations. But you're probably cold. You probably need a cardigan in January, which is the hottest month in Australia. So, or if you're American, let's dub. You probably need a cardigan in July. That's me dubbing it afterwards. I just love winter and I miss it. I just find it so cozy and romantic and fun and beautiful. And yes, of course, I haven't grown up in a country that snows. Well, it does. In some places it does. But I never, ever, ever went to a place that had snow until I got a bit older. Now, I went to snow one time when I was maybe, I'm going to say between 7 and 10. We went to New Zealand where my dad was born and raised, and it was snowy, and we went to one area, and no one in my family can ski. The Fuchs family is more about the ball sports, or the cock sports, shuttlecock and such. That's badminton, which I have been thinking a lot about recently. If any of you like badminton, I'm desperate. I'm desperate to get back on that court and get back a hand in that cock. You know what I'm saying? But we went to New Zealand, and I do remember being like lying in the snow because we went somewhere that has a little bit of snow. I think it was some sort of ski place. Like, it must have been a mountain, but because none of us ski or snowboard or do any of that sort of stuff, I think I just kind of like threw my body around. Now, I could also be misremembering that with the third time that I really experienced snow, which is I studied abroad, and we'll get back to that. But afterwards, I went traveling with some friends. And now the issue with that is they were skiers and snowboarders. And I don't know what sort of shit is going on with the people that ski and snowboard. I respect you. I respect you. But as a non-skier, non-snowboarder, it was disrespectful to throw me into such a space, especially in a space called Whistler, which is expensive, overrun by Australians, and not fun if you don't have an interest or ability to do skiing and snowboarding. The other people I was traveling with were skiers and snowboarders. So I went and tried to do like an intro lesson. I mean, snowboarding is not it. And what was horrible is while I'm eating shit, falling back into the snow, trying to learn anything, I'm seeing 1-year-olds who are starfished up, propped up like they've been taxidermied on their snowboard, and they are just snaking down a steep hill, going a bloody inch, a mother's nipple away from the edge, which goes down to a deep dive cliff. And these kids couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. The guy at the front must be holding a soft toy because these kids are following in suit. It is the most organized I have ever seen children. And then there's me with the other losers who are grown adults trying to learn how to snow and skiboard. Snowboard and ski? Sure. So I tried the snowboard first, couldn't get into it. I think there's just something about your body being completely in one direction that really throws me intellectually. So then I switched to the skis. And the skis, I mean, you all know what skiing is, but just in case you don't, it's essentially 2 long poles, you shove your feet into them, they're flat, and then you're supposed to go forward. The issue with that is, so you're supposed to do like pizza and French fries. Pizza is you put your feet together to make the shape of a pizza, and that is how you slow down or stop. Then French fries is like your feet are parallel to each other with the boards parallel, and you like navigate that. I got a little bit of a handle on it, like not terribly amazing, but good enough that then I thought, okay, let's get it. So I go up and then I go down like the tiniest little hill, but it was literally like the beginner hill. Like, I mean, it's like, imagine a little bit of an elevated climb to get to a, nothing to nothing. I mean, there's nothing at the top of this hill. I mean, honestly, if I had to give it an angle, I know that 90 degrees is about that. If you can't see me, you know what 90 degrees is. I'm not even saying it's 45. I'm going to call it 12. It's a 12-degree slant. Not much. Yeah, not much at all, actually. It's almost a mistake. Almost be like, that's flat. You're not going to walk up this hill and be on the phone and tell someone, hey, I'm walking up a hill, so in case I start panting a little bit, don't mind me. I get a little bit confident, and the 2 people I'm with, they're like, okay, great, let's go to this like minor one. Great. Go on the ski lift. I'm shaking. I'm like, God damn, I don't think this is for me. But I'm starting to build myself up. I'm telling them I'm a little bit nervous. No worries. Don't worry about it. We'll come with you. I get stuck up a hill, right? A beginner's hill, mind you. And now, I haven't seen a map. I don't know what this space looks like. I'm going down a hill blind for the first time, never doing it. And the 2 girls that I'm with, they just kind of go. And I get stuck on my own. Now, as I'm coming down this hill, I very quickly realize I've made a fucking mistake. I'm on the easiest hill imaginable, and I realize that I'm calling it hill and I think it should be slope. That's how inexperienced and lack of cultural knowledge of skiing, snowboarding I am across. This is, to me, levels. I don't know anything. I don't even watch skiing and snowboarding in the Winter Olympics. I watch the ice sports, and by that I mean skating. That's all I care about. I find myself atop a hill, alone, cold, and there's a lot of pressure because everyone around me is mounting. Everyone's trying to get past me because slowly, as the big broad part of the hill funnels into a more narrow section that you have to ski and snowboard down, I freak the fuck out. I have what medical professionals would likely call an anxiety attack. I pop the back of the skis off and I'm like, no. But there's no way to get down a hill bar being literally wrapped in a fucking bag and taken down on a ski bunny thing in case of emergency. But this didn't feel like a full-blown emergency. So I circle up. I say, come on, girls, huddle. And that's me and my personalities. And I say, what are we going to do here? This is a make or break situation for you. This will be seared into your memory, however you decide to go down the hill. And what I do is I sit on my skis. I sit on the French fries. And I proceed to, with my ass on the French fries and my legs out front, physically push myself on the ground down a fucking beginner hill. And people are grunting and mad as they walk past me. Well, rather, scared high velocity past me. Clearly, I don't want to be here. Don't get mad at me. You think this was my plan A? This is plan Z. I went through everything mentally to get myself away from this hill to not be in your way. And these people are like grumpy. How about you stop, make some eye contact with me and be like, oh, tough crack. It takes me maybe an hour to get down to the bottom of the hill because I'm on my ass the entire time. And for the rest of that week in Whistler, I say, girls, get out there on your own and Daddy's going to sit in back and have a hot chocolate and not move for 6 hours while you go ski. Then at night we went out, had some fun, partied, because that's what Whistler is. Everyone just basically like hooks up with each other who works there. It's a culture of like all these full-blown adults like sitting in bunk beds all night just hooking up and stuff. So I would have been 21 hanging out with a bunch of like 36, 38-year-olds who like have delayed adulthood and just like fit people for boots on the skis, on the slopes. And I love that. And that was, like I said, maybe my third foray into the world of snow. I'm more of a city winter girl, if I had to label myself. My main introduction and my biggest exposure to snow was for the first time when I studied abroad in Boston. I went from Sydney, where it's like the winter is like, yeah, you might wear a coat, but if you wear a hat and gloves, it's like truly overkill. Like you can for style, for fashion, which obviously I do. In the last year, I've gotten really into fluffy hats. So this coming winter is going to be an absolute nightmare for you guys. Bad winter to be any sort of sticky surface that my head could stick to when I'm walking past with a fluffy hat. So my first major exposure to a very cold winter was studying abroad. And I went from Sydney to Boston. Boston, I had visited once before as well in winter, but was only there for a couple of days. And it was like hat and gloves and scarf weather, but I didn't see like a frosty fall. I didn't see a really snow-covered area and to the point where people were like having snow fights and like it's cold and it's fucking snowy and it's sludgy and it's gross and people are slipping and eating shit on the floor. But when I studied abroad, baby, did I get that shit in full bloom. I went there in mid to late 2013 and it was chilly-ish when I was there, but I was there for the fall semester, so it got a lot colder. Now, there are so many anecdotes I could bring to you. I mean, I at that point, I didn't really realize like what the weather meant and what it was about. So on one day, I didn't really realize how cold it was, and I wore ballet flats. And I'm not talking like nice, well-made, sturdy ballet flats with a back that might dig in and give you a blister. I'm talking like flimsy, Payless, or some sort of equivalent that was just like a basic bitch shoe. When I tell you I think I got frostbite, everyone else is wearing snow boots or everyone's wearing like proper closed shoes. And I had to walk because I lived about a 10-minute walk from campus in a share house in this like big, almost like a sorority or a frat house. On one of the nights, we decide to go out. And again, I'm not really across the whole snow situation. So we go out, me and my 3 girlies who are my besties at like in college. We go out one night and we are getting hammered. Now, from memory, this is the night where I had to be in class late because I was failing all of my classes because I didn't care. And because I lived off campus, but these girls were 6 months younger than me and were in like their first semester or their second semester or whatever it is, we would often drink at my place because there was no RA who is like the resident, like they're supposed to be making sure you're not doing anything naughty. We'd often come and get drunk at my house and then go out. They're at my house and I'm like, girls, just go there, get drunk, I'll be there. I come home with some like after class, and they're all drunk and having the best fucking night of their lives. And I'm like, USA, 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 catch me up. So I start drinking. And the most drunk in my life I've ever been is not when I'm going with the intention of binge drinking. I am always going with the intention of like, let's just have a fucking blast, girls. And you're just getting hammered because it's so much fun. You're locked in to the partying and the fun. It's not even about like, oh my God, I need to drink 10 shots to like be hammered. It's the process. It's the shit talking. It's the pouring of the drinks. It's the cheersing. It's the fun of it all that I get absolutely drunk out of my mind on. So we get hammered. Now, at times in my past, when I get a certain level of drunk, I black in and black out. It's not great. One time I got so hammered that I blacked in, was sitting on a couch next to a DJ, and my friend was like, are you okay? This is in Australia. Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And she was like, you don't look good. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to vomit. And then she's like, okay, let's move. And before she can move me, because she's half my size and height, I turn and vomit all down a DJ's legs in the middle of a club. So, I don't drink anymore. And so we go out. Now, I'm blacking in and out throughout the night. From what I remember, solid fucking night. It's freezing. But, also, and Sydney has this culture too. Even when it's cold, if you're going out clubbing, you're not going to take a big winter coat. So we're like rugged up adjacent, but definitely frostbite candidates. We go out, we party, and then we come back. There's 2 different sections to this campus, and we've gone from one campus to the next. So now we're catching a bus back to my area, my house, but I'm really drunk. And the bus stops at the main section on the main campus, and I get out, and I'm like to my friends, I'm going to vomit. So we get out, and we're going to wait for the next bus, which will take us to a third area, which is like kind of the city, the party area. And my friend Lydia, now a nurse in training, responsible, big doe-eyed girl. She's just, you want to wife the bitch up. And she's like, okay, let's like go around the back. She's blackout drunk too, keep in mind. So we go behind the bus stop as where the other 2 girls are waiting for the next bus to come. And I vomit. Now, often, unless I'm like so drunk, you really wouldn't, like I could be drunk now and you'd have no idea. I haven't been drunk in so long. God, what a bore. So I vomit. I chunder behind the bus stop, and the bus pulls up and my friends get on it. And what me and Lydia then realize at the same time, as if having twin telepathy, is we look to our left and we go, oh, the bus stop is glass. So everyone on the bus, including the bus driver, has now seen that we are, and by we I mean I, have vomited, chundered, chucked guts behind this clear perspex of a bus stop. I wipe the sides of my mouth, oh, ladylike, and we go to get on the bus. And the bus driver's like, no. And my friend, big doe-eyed eyes, she's like, come on, sir, please, please. He's called campus security. Now, I'm there underage. I'm 20 or 19. I must be 19 to 20. And I've been warned at the start of my study abroad that if I get drunk, I will be deported and it will be bad. My visa will be rescinded and I will get in trouble. So I am drunk now going, I'm about to be deported. They're going to put me on a plane tonight. I'm going to be drunk for 24 hours flying back to Australia, where it is legal for me to be drunk because I am 19, 20. So Lydia speaks to the campus police and is like, no, I'm going to care for her. I'm a nurse, sir. Like, I'm going to take her home. She'll be fine. We're just catching the car, the bus to her house. It's around the corner. And he, for some fucking reason, lets us get off safe. So these girls take me back to my house. It's the first step. The bus is full. Everyone's going out to party. It is the middle of winter. This bus pulls up and the doors open. Now, as a foreign exchange student who has no fucking idea that it is winter, the curb is covered in snow, but not just the curb, but also sludge, whatever. Snow builds up on the side of the curb, so cars and buses have to pull up a meter away from the curb, meaning it goes step off bus to the floor, step up, off floor to curb. From road to curb, that's the journey. Now, I don't know that. I haven't grown up in this country or in a cold space. So I extend my legs at full capacity, at full tilt, and I fall into the sludge on the road. Because I am expecting the step to be just at the tip of my foot. But instead, I have missed the curb and gone way deeper down into the snow than I expected. And I am now covered in snow, sludge, road guck, and everybody on the bus has watched it happen. Now I'm drunk and I'm grumpy, and sure, it is my fault. I could have moved with a little more caution, but I turn to the Americans and I say, how fucking dare you? How dare you? It's your fault. You pushed me. You're sabotaging me. You want to embarrass me. The girls walk me to my house. I'm sopping wet, covered in guck. They put me in a bed, and as the girls are leaving, wishing me good night, I roll over and vomit. Now, I remember the roll and the sound of vomit hitting the floor. And then I remember them screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I black out and I don't wake up for about 17 hours. Now, the girls clean up the vomit. I can't even fathom the sort of trauma bond that people who spend 4 full years at college have together, because I was with those girls for 7-8 months, and let me tell you, I'd lie under a bus for them. No questions asked. I'll show up. Anything they need, I'll be there, because they clean my vomit at 2 a.m. on a snowy winter morning. Now, I'm almost sure I did have alcohol poisoning because I started to vomit bile for like 3 or 4 days, and I called my sister, who was either a doctor or almost a doctor at that time, and I said, I think I'm dying. I can't move. I can't eat. I can't drink. Bile is coming up. Green, mucousy bile. And she said, you have alcohol poisoning. I was drinking a thing called Rubinoff, which is illegal in most states in America, but for some reason, Massachusetts said, yeah, no worries. Go right ahead with that poison. And it was like a handle. I don't know how many shots are in a handle, but you could feed a small nation. You could hydrate a small country. You could run a small car. You could run a Fiat off of the amount of petrol that's in a Rubinoff handle. And that stuff just melted my gut. And my sister was like, okay, in 24 hours, if you vomit again, or if you like vomit blood, you need to go to a hospital. Fucking hell. Anyway, I was fine within another 24 hours. It took me like 3 days to recover from that. But in retrospect, God, I was made of tough stuff. It's so funny, the things you don't know when you're not from a cold place. I mean, I had no idea that the curb was going to be covered in sludge. Give me a manual. When I'm coming to a place that I've never been, hey, give me a little bit of, give me a brochure. You know, despite falling in front of a bus full of people into snow and being covered in sludge, love winter. That has not changed me. In fact, I miss it. And when I was then living in America many years later, I was more prepared for the winters. I was living in New York and it was fucking cold. And I was a lot more responsible at that point because I was 22, 23. Maybe this story is when I was 24. I was walking home one night after some shows talking to my parents on the phone. And I look between 2 cars and I see a girl who is doing what can only be described as the split with a mound of snow just kind of propping her pussy up. And she was very small woman, and her 2 friends were small women too, and they were kind of standing on the side of the footpath. And I said to my parents, I'll call you right back. I said, girls, what's going on here? Me, like an undercover cop, me checking in. All right, girls, what's the go? What's the goss? What's happening? Me, like local, I'm literally what's it called, neighborhood watch in the East Village. So they are just letting their very drunk friend sit in the snow, essentially passed out. I don't know why. Maybe this girl has that shit happen all the time. Maybe they were too small. It was 3 very small, slight women. So I said, all right, girls, well, where does she live? Why don't you order her Uber? And they were like, well, actually, she lives right here. When I tell you I was like the Hulk, I pick this small woman up and I carry her up a 3-story walk up, and I put her in a bed. And I say to these girls, if she vomits, you need to stay here and turn her on her side. Make sure you give her water. Like literally, I was like, I am built to be a paramedic. I am built to lift and save. That's the truth. If there is one thing that I am made for in this life, it is truly to be man-meat. Like I was army carrying her up the stairs, this small girl. And to think the next day they probably were like, who the fuck was that woman who carried us up the stairs? There was no like exchanging of details or information. I was literally like a forklift just lifting this woman up, putting her in a bed and hoping that she survived. And I think I called my parents back, told them, and they were like, okay. And I was like, okay, anyway, how's everything at home? Like such a non-event. And I saved a woman's life. I'm really craving winter. I think the most fun that I've ever had has happened in winter. Call me crazy, but as if those stories don't sound phenomenal. I'm always happy in winter. Now I have to go into the hot summer air and perform. God, I'm just thinking about winter. The gloves, the hats, the scarves. Oh, God, we're so close. It is slowly getting colder here, and thank God for that. I do feel it. I am getting happier and happier. So don't worry. Don't think I'm falling into some sad, deep depression. I'm about to have 6 months of pure bliss as it gets chilly. And I'm going to be in Melbourne for some of the coldest weather Australia has to offer. Thank God. Late March, early April, catch me being the happiest bitch in all of Victoria. Anyway, I don't know if you hate or love winter, and maybe this has convinced you that winter needs to be here and needs to be providing for us. Because winter is just Mother Nature suckling from the teat, producing milk. That is snow. Snow is just the mother's milk. Rain is just the mother's milk. And when it's summer and it is dry, I am hungry and I am craving the mother's milk. And I don't ever want to say mother's milk this many more times in an episode. So please just tell me you like winter and let's move on. Thanks for listening. Some of you know that I'm touring. I'll be in Melbourne soon and then Sydney. So if you're in those places, please come and see me. But otherwise, catch you later. I'm going to wear a furry hat as soon as we hit our winter episodes in a couple months. Bye. Mwah.